fruits, nuts, and seeds.
Chapati, thank you for teaching us to be healthy.
The energy that I feel with these meals.
Chapati, that was really yummy.
Like a kid with new toys. Health is my greatest joy. Come and see, come and be with our host Chapati.
Hello and welcome to Food with Life. I am your host Chapati, and we're here with a very extraordinary guest, Dr. John Bergman, who is the founder of the Bergman Family Chiropractic in Huntington Beach, California. And it's a very unique place to go for healing and chiropractic. And I'm going to ask Dr. John Bergman, it's different than other places I have been. And it's very, very, you don't just include adjusting here and there, but you include food, you include movement, exercise, many, many things. So tell me about your vision for chiropractic as opposed to what might be traditional.
The way we run our clinic is more traditional. In fact, what we do, we focus in that the body is self-healing and self-regulating. And there's an innate intelligence inside of the body that expresses itself through environmental stimuli. And this is the neat part. There's 3 factors of stress: physical, chemical, and emotional stress. And if you deal effectively with all 3 of those stressors, you can reverse about 97% of all diseases.
Of those 3, is usually the physical is the more gross, as you say, and the emotional more subtle, which would probably, is there more power in the emotional versus the grosser physical? Or
It's interesting, they all have an equal effect on the body. If you're physically stressed from a trauma, an accident, it has the exact same effect that if you're stressed with a Carl's Jr. or McDonald's, okay, or vaccinations, or if you're emotionally stressed, or your perception of the environment, your body is going to have the same automatic, it's actually through the autonomic nervous system. It's going to negatively affect your health and how you express life and your resistance to disease.
so what about, let's say you're coming into your office for an adjustment, okay? And many times people are always on this go, hurry, pace, fast pace, here, there. And they're coming in, zoom, they come there, they sit down. Does the speed of life, the intensity with which they're going to whatever they might be in the office, work, just having to be somewhere, does that not affect the adjustments that are given by chiropractic? Or no?
And it depends on the perception of that person. There's a tremendous number of high energy people that enjoy that. They thrive on certain stressors. It's when the stressors become overwhelming. And we all have a balance. And we actually live our life through the nervous system. And there's 2 aspects of the automatic or autonomic nervous system. Sympathetic, which means fight or flight, and parasympathetic, which is the rest, digest, and repair mode. As long as those systems are balanced, where you can have that incredibly aggressive, high-focused lifestyle, you get up and you run like crazy. If you balance that through periods of rest, then you do have a balanced life and you're going to thrive in this world. An imbalanced nervous system or an imbalanced perception of the environment, because it's not really what's happening, it's your perception that radically alters your expression of immune system responses and how your body deals with life, the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors.
So let's deal with the emotional more. People many times go through a lot of ups and downs, happiness, joy, depression, anxiety, and so forth. Tell us how chiropractic deals with, let's say, depression.
Oh, fantastic. If you look at it through, let's call them stress hormones and feel-good hormones, because emotions are actually chemicals secreted by the brain, and your body responds on a cellular basis. So if you're perceiving, like let's say you see a cute little puppy on the ground, and you think, oh my God, how cute. your brain is going to be secreting dopamine, serotonin. You're going to be have experienced joy. If you think that nasty little ankle biter, I'm scared of little puppies, you're going to be producing adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol, everything. Right. So it's based on your perception of the environment. And then you can actually change that. But there's also a physical representation. Let's say there's a trauma that throws the head forward. That's going to alter dopamine production, which is produced in the brain. Mm-hmm. Let's say that they've had vaccinations or antibiotics, all of which can cause a leaky gut, and that's going to reduce serotonin production. So the physical will absolutely affect the neurologic and the hormone production, which is going to affect dopamine, serotonin, and the perception of depression or anxiety.
Alter all these brain chemicals.
Absolutely, and that's why you can actually rewire the brain. And a lot of people don't know that you can.
I want to talk more about this very important issue. I am your host, Chapati, with our special revered guest, Dr. John Bergman. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Hello and welcome back to Food with Life. I am your host, Chapati, with our special guest, Dr. John Bergman, extraordinary chiropractor and more. So we were talking a bit about rewiring the brain and neurotransmitters and all these things which are our basis of what we are. So tell us a bit about the brain, etc.
Well, it's interesting. The way the brain is wired is through your perception of the environment. And some people have mastered their chemical assault despite the outer circumstances. Like you've heard of people with money, wealth, power, beauty, everything, then they commit suicide.
Right.
And what they've done is they've mastered the chemistry or the emotions that their brain can secrete despite the outer circumstances of reality. And the opposite is true as well. People with horrible circumstances can actually have their brain rewired because emotions are chemicals secreted by how the brain perceives the environment. And there's an exercise to have the brain rewired. And it doesn't require positive thought. It doesn't require anything other than doing it. And it's similar to neurolinguistic programming, but it involves body posture, intonation, volume, and breathing. And you read from a list of words that you can create yourself. And it's like, let's say if someone has chronically ill, they would change that. And this is 100% of the people with chronic illness that come into our clinic. You have to deal with the three stressors: physical, chemical, and emotional. If someone has had, say, fibromyalgia for decades, or Crohn's disease, or ulcerative colitis, or depression and anxiety, all of these chronic fatigue, the illnesses that are devastating to your life, every time you get up, your brain is anticipating that day is going to be just like the day before.
So it boom, switches into that new mode, the older mode of performance.
Exactly.
What about meditation? Different types of meditation?
Well, prayer and meditation are going to be vital,
Right.
but that's not going to rewire. That's going to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. The 4 aspects to change your emotional state to rewire the brain involves body posture, intonation, volume, and breathing. And that's essential because if your head is forward and down, that's literally pulling on the brainstem, and that's going to alter dopamine production. It's also going to round over the shoulders and cause a limited amount of oxygen that could get in. So appropriate body posture, chin up, chest out, volume and breathing, and reading through a list. Now there's a code. It's actually called the Moses Code, the I Am. It has very powerful imprinting message on how to wire and get that brain to fire correctly. Because literally neurons that are wired together fire together. And if you can have consistent firing in the neurons in your brain, then you have a consistent emotional state. It's amazing exercise.
I was going to say something extremely interesting. I know most about breathing. Breathing, know, and I've been working with people who are very much alters the brain chemistry and meditation and so on. And breathing in certain techniques can immediately get your energy rising higher up into the higher stem brain cells, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So can you comment on something about the breathing?
Absolutely. You figure that little brain weighs about 3 pounds and it burns 20% of the body's oxygen.
Right.
And that deep breathing also stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. Plus you have a whole fluid in your system called lymphs, and that doesn't move unless, like blood has a pump, the heart.
Right.
But lymph doesn't move throughout the body unless you're breathing and moving.
Right.
And that's why in appropriate meditation positions, what position are they in? Straight back, chin up, relaxed.
Right.
So the natural curves of the spine are there, and that's going to put the spinal cord under the least stress.
I know with the breathing, as exactly what you're saying, the breathing begins the program of the energy flowing from the base of the spine higher up. So it pushes your spine to being more erect. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And you don't even, they give out these clinics, they give back support and all this. You can start with it, but then when you find the energy's going up, you don't really want to have that. You don't need that back support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. The thing I wanted to ask you was a bit about when we come into the clinic. Lots of times we go in because of different pains we have,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's in the upper part of the body or the lower part of the body, maybe joints or something which is uncomfortable, or maybe we're sitting at work for 6-8 hours and we don't move. So I want to discuss that with you in a minute. We'll take a break about prolonged sitting at a workstation. Maybe you can dwell your wisdom on that.
Excellent.
Okay. I am your host Chapati with our special guest, Dr. John Bergman. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Food with Life with our special guest, Dr. John Bergman. I have a question. We were talking about something that many people are locked into. When they go to work, they sit in a room on a chair, they don't move much and for 6-8 hours, and what about that effect on the body, sitting at the workstation for many hours?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do about that, or what's the effect for?
Well, it's interesting. For productivity, it's not very efficient. And in fact, there was a great study out of Harvard that if you got up and moved every 50 minutes, just for 5 to 10 minutes, that stimulates brain function, lymph flow, and actually increases productivity. So movement is the key. And it's also the key for brain function. And sitting is, I've heard comments where sitting is the new smoking. But it's you need movement to get brain stimulation and for the body functioning.
Get the blood flowing into the head.
Absolutely.
Right. I know many times as yoga positions, you move all around and you go upside down and everything, and it really gets the blood circulating.
Absolutely.
What about, let's say we get into these situations and we're not aware, and we get sometimes some extreme pain.
Mm-hmm.
Something is bothering us and we don't know what to do. What would you suggest?
It's so interesting because in society today, it's a hedonistic medical system. It doesn't matter the lifestyle you choose or what trauma's been in the past. We can give you a medication to cover it up. And typically, if someone has had a trauma, and this is going to be a physical, chemical, or emotional trauma, that's going to initiate pain. Now, you only have 10% of your body's awareness goes to your brain. So that means in order to be aware of a problem, 90% of the nerve has to be affected. And your brain communicates through your body, through the nervous system. So when you have someone in chronic pain, if they're taking a pain reliever, that's going to be challenging. The most common are going to be they're called non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, like Motrin, Advil, Aleve. And those inhibit proteoglycan production. It's the building block of cartilage. So that's insane. You take a drug for a musculoskeletal injury, and it's going to destroy your cartilage. If you take an opiate, such as morphine or Oxycontin, something like that, that has a negative effect and addictive effect, but it also increases pain.
So let's talk about something in the health food industry, something that would help get rid of inflammation, stimulate circulation, a whole bunch of things. I know I've read a bit about hemp seed oil, or something to stimulate omega-3s, omega-6. What's your thoughts here about something like this?
Again, if you go back to respecting the body, you're not going to treat anything allopathically. And that's a big challenge. Like if somebody has local inflammation, that's a healing process. So we would like to increase healing. That's how we reverse arthritis. We actually increase the inflammation process at the level of the discs or the level of the joints or the knees to regenerate cartilage. Systemic inflammation is toxic. So to take a chemical for adrenal fatigue or an herb or something for a low-functioning thyroid or something for an organ system, it disrespects the body as the body is intelligently responding to the environment. And so it's better to look at what's going on, what's the underlying cause.
So what about what I was getting at, things that you might see holistic remedies for something like this?
Number one, find the cause. Find the cause because the body exhibits symptoms for a reason. Now, let's say, for example, most people coming into our office today are diagnosed with low-functioning thyroid. Now, I could say in a holistic manner, well, we should give them Lugos iodine or seaweed or iodine-rich foods. However, thyroid is intimately connected to the adrenal glands. And if there's a systemic inflammatory response, the adrenal glands will be high and the thyroid's low. So you can positively affect the thyroid by giving Lugos iodine or, the holistic natural approaches. However, you're discounting where the problem is. It could be from chronic adrenal fatigue. It could be from a local or systemic inflammatory response causing the adrenals to produce more cortisol. And then it's like giving an herb or something for adrenal fatigue. What do the adrenals do? Well, they make every glucocorticosteroid, mineralocorticosteroid, sex hormone, and they use this out of cholesterol. And the cholesterol is built in the liver from the blood. So if you have unhealthy blood, that's going to be poor cholesterol production, poor hormone production. So ultimately, if the true healthcare practitioners look at the body's response as intelligent, and there can't be like an organ-specific disease. So to treat it holistically, you really have to look at every response. Exactly. And I'm talking fibroids, tumors, difficult menstrual cycles, menopause changes, anxiety, depression. There's always an underlying cause.
Okay. We're going to take a break and then we'll continue on this. I am your host, Chapati, with our special guest, Dr. John Bergman. Please stay with us. This is Food with Life. Hello and welcome back to Food with Life. I am your host, Chapati, with our special guest, Dr. John Bergman. So, Dr. Bergman, I'm wondering, we're talking about all these physical, anatomical changes, neurological, and all this in a very gross way, but a very subtle way. What are the things we need to do to be healthy?
That is brilliant.
Besides coming to your office every week.
One of the things, because what do you need to be healthy? Because health could be a fever when exposed to a virus, because viruses and funguses die at a higher temperature. There's actually, looking and respecting the body, there's 5 aspects to maintain health. Number 1, you have to get your nervous system checked. Because if the nervous system, which you perceive your environment from, is in a stress state, your immune system is going to be weakened, you'll have elevations in blood pressure and cholesterol, and which is a normal response. So nervous system has to be checked.
How do we do this?
You have to go to a corrective chiropractor, and we do digital x-rays. We also do a nerve scan, surface electromyography, rolling thermal scan, heart rate variability. I mean, so that you get a thorough check
All right.
to find out how your automatic nervous system is functioning. Then you have to move. Half-hour a day of walking. And I've got some patients that are paraplegic, some people that are quadriplegic, and we have them doing exercises. I mean, if they can't move their body, a friend member will move it, because movement stimulates lymph flow and stimulates brain function. Then food.
And blood flow.
Blood flow, oh my God, sensory input, it's incredible. Movement is a nutrient. And then what you put in your body, if man makes it, you don't eat it. Okay, and you've got to have healthy nutrition. The next one is deep sleep every night. And so many people have a sleep problem where they're sleeping inefficient. They think they need 10 hours of sleep or 8 hours of sleep. No, if you go to bed, your head hits the pillow, you don't wake up all night, you wake up in the morning refreshed, that's a master sleeper. And the fifth one is prayer and meditation. You have to have that time. You can have a high intensity, super stressed lifestyle. But if you have prayer or meditation throughout the day, you're going to be balancing that autonomic nervous system, so you will be a tiger, okay?
Yeah, that's what brings you back to centering yourself.
Absolutely.
Meditation. I think many times people lose track of this. Either they don't meditate or they don't, whatever it is, they're all over the place, blah, 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 this way, that way, and they're hyperactive and they're on the go, 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 but they forget about this themselves or their heart, however, and that to me is the essence of what we're doing,
Mm-hmm. And it's just as important.
Absolutely. I think it's more important because that gives rise to your happiness.
Yep.
If you don't have happiness and joy, then, it's questionable,
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about, you said about nutrition. That was what stimulated my interest most, being healthy as far as getting your nutrients. Tell us a bit about your wisdom here.
When you look at the oldest cultures, there's a brilliant book called The Blue Zones. There's some consistencies with people in areas where they're living over 100 healthy. Plant-based diet. If they eat animal products, it's no more than once a week to once a month. Healthy, organic, and seasonal.
Now, question. I know some people need to eat more animal foods. Their body seems to be more accustomed to this for many, many, 20, 30, 40 years. And suddenly you put them on a plant-based diet, it's kind of a shock. I've been a vegetarian for almost 45 years, so I'm for that. But my wife needs to eat meat sometimes, a few times, more than once a week. So I'm just wondering how you can adjust that for some people.
The getting over and understanding, because they'll say they need protein.
Yeah.
There's protein in everything. There's protein in wheatgrass. There's cauliflower is 28% protein. So when you look at this, there's a great video called "Dude, Where's My Protein?" And once people understand that, a plant-based diet is actually better for the planet and it's better for the person, because plant-based proteins are much easier to process and digest. And this would be nice thing to share too. The only reason that we survive and thrive on this planet is because we're able to break proteins to amino acids, fats to fatty acids, and carbohydrates to usable sugars. And you get protein from plants that's way easier to break into the amino acids. It requires less acid and less work for your digestive tract. Plus, the residue that's left over after that digestion process, if it's more animal products, it's more acidic, and then that damages the body.
It's unhealthy.
Yep.
Animal residue and stored in the physiology. I'm sure it has a great effect on the nervous system, neurotransmission,
Huge.
all this.
Huge.
Yeah.
Taxes the pancreas, taxes everything. That's why once a week to once a month, but they have to be healthy animals.
Well, I want to thank you very much for your wisdom. It's gone time to talking with you has been like that.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This has been an honor.
My honor. We very much would like to have you come sometime more and share your brilliance with us. I am your host, Chapati, with our very special guest, Dr. John Bergman. Our honor to have you. And very much to have you as our guests watching Food with Life. I am your host, Chapati. We hope to see you very much soon. Thank you for watching. Be well, be happy, and enjoy. Bye-bye.
Veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds.